So good to see so many people. This is exciting day for Vernon. It's also Groundhog Day. We were at the Ellen Brooks Nature earlier, looking at the predictions of Oki. So good afternoon. Thanks for being here today. I am Harvinder Sandhu, your MLA for Vernon Monashi. I also have the honor to hold a very important portfolio, Parliamentary Secretary for Senior Services and Long-Term Care. And this is also my second home as the employee of Interior Health on leave now. So good to see many familiar faces and many new. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the respect, the history, customs, and cultures of the traditional territory of the Syilx and people of the Okanagan Indian Nations, and on whose land we're gathered here today. I would like to invite Elder Jack Spotted Eagle with the Okanagan Indian Band to guide us with the beautiful opening prayer and give us your blessings. Thank you.
On behalf of the Okanagan Indian Band, which is just down the road from here, and the Okanagan Nation, which goes from Merritt all the way to the Columbia River historically, welcome you to our territory, into our lands. And as you're aware, this is the unceded lands of the Okanagan Nation, which we've been here for thousands of years. And I give you the welcome, and I'm glad that you could come and join us today. I will now do a brief prayer. I'm going to do it in English for you. Kulan Shutin, we give thanks for the blessings of this day and the opportunity of gathering on the lands of the Okanagan Nation. And Kulan Shutin, we ask blessings upon the sick and the afflicted and those who are mourning because of losses at this facility and throughout our nation. And Kulan Shutin, we're grateful for the many blessings and the opportunities we have. We acknowledge the homeless, the sick, and the afflicted who have special needs. And we ask blessings upon them. And Kulan Shutin, we ask blessings upon the staff, the nurses and the doctors in this facility, that they may be blessed and they may be protected, and that they may continue to care for the sick and the afflicted who are suffering in this facility. And Kulan Shutin, we ask blessings upon our families and our loved ones, and upon those who are traveling today, that they may do so in safety, and that we may be guided and protected today. All my relations.
Thank you so much, Elder Jack Spotted Eagle, and for those blessings. They're very beautiful start, and blessings are much needed. So this is a big day for people in Vernon, and I am just immensely grateful when we've been working on it for months, and I would say a couple of years or longer since we started these conversations. And when it was coming to fruition, I felt like dancing, and I did dance a bit. So today I'm joined by Premier David Eby, and of course Health Minister Adrian Dix, and we have Diane Shandruk. She's Vice President of Clinical Operations with Interior Health North, and of course Jillian Shaw. She is Patient Care Coordinator, who is also, former colleague of mine. Very thrilled to see. And there are a lot of distinguished guests, Mayor Cumming, Mayor of Vernon, as well as I saw Chief of Medical Staff, Dr. Peter Bosma. We had a wonderful meeting with nurse practitioners, doctors, and the team that provide primary health care in the region. So very productive meeting. So I can't say all the names, but also Dr. Paul Carey, Chris Sims, all the conversations, the texts, the evening phone calls we've been having over the last few months to make this happen and discussing this. Thank you for being here. And the board members, respected board members, thank you for your work and contributions. And of course, I would be remiss not to acknowledge the heartbeat of this healthcare system, staff, whether healthcare professionals, healthcare workers, all of you, without you, this means nothing. So kudos to you all. It's been very challenging last few years, but I want to let you know that we're there for you. I not only come from your healthcare family, but I have entire family working here. So we have every reason to make your workplaces better and safer places, and we have been taking actions. So today we'll be telling you more about some more bold actions we're taking, but we're not done yet. We'll continue to move forward to strengthen the healthcare system to make your workplaces better. So without further ado, I am really excited to talk about my favorite topic, of course, healthcare. Today we have 3 exciting announcements addressing healthcare, mental health, and long-term care. So Vernon is growing community, which meaning we have growing needs for expanding the services of Vernon and surrounding communities we serve. And that is why we are actively taking steps nonstop since we formed the government in 2017 to ensure people get the care that they need. So please join me to welcoming Honorable Premier David Eby for the announcement that we're all waiting for. So Premier Eby.
Thanks so much, Harwinder, and kind of you to clap after the wait you had. It's a pleasure to join you here today. Thank you, Elder Jack, for the kind welcome to the territory. Harwinder, thanks for the introduction. And it is good to see so many people here. I mean, these aren't Okanagan Okie numbers, but it's a good start for us. And you don't want me at Groundhog Day anyway, because at 6'7", I can always see my shadow. The announcement that I'm here to make today is about a really important and pressing need in our communities. Across North America, across Canada, and certainly across British Columbia, we have seen a growing demand for mental health and addiction services. There are lots of people who came out of the pandemic struggling, and when you add to that the impacts of the toxic drug crisis our province is facing, the demand is profound. The urgency of this need is reflected in our government's priorities. We set aside $1 billion in this most recent budget to make sure that mental health and addiction gets the attention that it needs. Just last week, we announced 180 new treatment beds in the province. Many of these beds used to be in the private treatment market. You needed thousands of dollars to access these addiction beds, and they are now available to British Columbians free of charge. Today, I am very proud to join my colleagues and the staff from Vernon Jubilee and the Health Authority here today to share that Vernon Jubilee Hospital will be home to a brand new psychiatric unit with 44 beds, doubling the number of patients that they are able to serve in an appropriate and beautiful new facility. No longer will people in this community who are struggling with mental health be relegated to the basement. A separate building on land adjacent to the hospital will be built. It will be the home to the crisis and hospital services teams that are now scattered all over the place. They'll all be in one location, providing seamless care. And a tunnel will connect the new building to the main hospital building, ensuring dignity and connection to the broader healthcare system here at the hospital. I am really excited about this work getting underway, the planning work that is ahead of us for this badly needed facility for the community. This builds on additional work that we're doing in the healthcare system in British Columbia, and that is absolutely coming to bear here in the community in Vernon. We have 500 complex care housing beds, so people struggling with mental health and addiction issues in community have the care and support they need in the homes that will ensure they're able to remain stable in community. For healthcare workers generally, our work around recognizing international credentials of healthcare workers to get them off of the sidelines and into our hospitals is showing up in a significant way. Hundreds of new doctors, thousands of new nurses in just the last year in our healthcare system. And British Columbians are benefiting from innovation in healthcare. We are the home to Canada's first lung cancer screening program and at-home HPV testing for every single British Columbian. 300,000 British Columbians have accessed pharmacists for support with minor ailments and for free birth control. And we know we've got a lot more work to do. This new psychiatric unit will support people and families in this community for decades to come. And I'm really excited to join with my colleagues for even 2 more announcements about work that we're doing to bring more doctors and nurses to this community to provide the support that the people of Vernon need and care for all of our elders in the community, opening new beds for people that need additional support. So with that, I will turn it back to my colleague Harwinder. Thanks, Harwinder.
Thank you. Well, just give it a second. Thank you so much, Premier. Really appreciate you being here and your ongoing support. It means a lot. So this is, as I said, exciting, magnificent news that we are excited about. It gives us hope. And for Premier Eby's leadership, and I don't know, many of you probably know his wife, Kaylee, was also RN now. She's a family doctor, so maybe just like me, he gets briefed on to health, regarding health issues every single evening. I do. In fact, my husband in the back, 2 days ago, he went home after work. He's like, you really need to build, the government need to build a psych hospital. I couldn't tell him. I said, just, stay hopeful. So I couldn't spill the beans. It was so, and he said it exactly 2 days ago. He's like, I was taking care of this, patient, and it makes them more anxious because it's so enclosed and dark, and Baljeet, we're delivering. This is what I couldn't tell you, but it was hard for me to hold this exciting announcement. So I'm very proud to do this work alongside with dedicated colleagues and health minister, my minister as a nurse, and my minister now as parliamentary secretary. We work together. So it's been a great journey. I feel very supported. They care about our community equally as I do. So we know that our healthcare is all connected. So by that mean, our physical, mental, spiritual, emotional health is all interconnected. There's no doubt about it. So should your healthcare services be. So there are many pieces to puzzle when we really want to provide wholesome care with better outcomes. So it's team-based care. So mental health is part of overall well-being. And I look forward to witnessing the progress in this inpatient psychiatry unit at Vernon Jubilee Hospital. This will also help us to recruit and retain more healthcare workers and professionals, because they'll have this best workplace where they can deliver better results and provide quality care. When it comes to primary healthcare centers, people in rural, remote, and indigenous communities have the unique needs. We know that whenever we're making policies or delivering healthcare, mental health, or other healthcare related services, we do keep that in mind, that it's not one size fits all. So challenges, people have challenges, travel. So that is why we're also taking care of that component. So today, here with me to speak more about is that our extraordinary health minister, Minister Dix. So he'll tell us more about how we are building the systems, not only in one aspect, but across the board. So you have the wholesome primary care network, or that care that you need. So I shouldn't spill more beans. I should just give mic to Mr. Dix. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Harvinder, and it's a great day to be here in Vernon. I think as health critic for the NDP, as an MLA, as a minister, I think I've visited this site more than 30 times. I have to say, when I used to meet the media, it used to be out in the parking lot, and now I'm doing it inside the hospital. I think the community of people, and one of the things I just want to start with, we spent hours, a significant period of time here in the summer talking to doctors, nurses, health sciences professionals, and healthcare workers, our teams here in Interior Health. The people who work in this hospital face the challenges of a dramatic growing population, of an aging population, and the level of service that is provided by the people who work here is exceptional. It has grown year unto year. And as we live through 2 public health emergencies, the overdose public health emergency and the COVID-19 public health emergency, the care that was provided in this hospital was indisputably, sometimes not in the best of conditions, which is why we're building on this site some of the best care in the world. And it's because of our doctors and our nurses and our healthcare workers, including Harvinder, and it's good to be here with Harvinder when you're in the hospital at Vernon Jubilee Hospital, because it takes about an hour to go about 50 feet because she knows everybody, and that's good. And she's so committed to this. So when we talk about healthcare in Vernon, this is something Harvinder and I talk about several times a week. Her commitment to it, her commitment to seniors across BC in particular, is really without equal, I think, in our province. She knows the system as a nurse, and she advocates and fights for Vernon as an MLA, and I'm very proud to work with her. And I just wanted to say a few things just very briefly about the psychiatric unit at the hospital. I think if you look at changing hospitals, we have the largest capital plan. We're building more hospital and hospital spaces than ever happened before as a province. We have more than twice as many projects, over $50 million, than we had when I started as Minister of Health. We're building everywhere, in particular in the Interior Health Authority and the Northern Health Authority. The healthcare facilities that we have had in place, those that have been built often in the 50s and 60s and 70s, particularly in the area of mental health and addictions care, are from a different time, not the care we need now, not places of healing. And so what the Premier has announced today, what he is absolutely committed to doing in every area of mental health and addiction care, is building out the continuum of care. The people who do work here in the psychiatric unit do some of the best work in the world. They deserve the best conditions in the world, and in particular, the people who live in this community, who are served by this hospital, deserve that care, and that is why we're building a new psychiatric unit here. And I know there may be questions from members of the media. We're happy to deal with more on the first announcement, but I want to talk about the second announcement. There's three elements to today. One is long-term care, which Harvinder is going to speak to as the person responsible for seniors in our government. The Premier has talked about acute care mental health. I'm going to talk a little bit about primary care and its central importance in the community. When I became Minister of Health, there had been a lot of talk about something called the primary care network, which is building out teams in the community, using our entire group of doctors and clinics and everything in the community, and building out supports for them, building out more resources, building team-based care, adding, of course, doctors, but also nurse practitioners and nurses and pharmacists and physiotherapists and mental health and addiction workers to build out the team in healthcare. And there had been a lot of talk of this. There were 158 primary care networks announced in 2009. I forget who was Minister of Health then. They delivered, got it on the first try. And they delivered exactly zero. And this is what has happened historically with primary care. And one of the reasons we have challenges is that there's always challenges in acute care, and primary care is the first thing not done. That has changed in 2018. There are primary care networks across British Columbia, 78 that are in place or in development, 68 that are in place now and that are building out. And those primary care networks have about 1,700 full-time positions in them. More people than full-time positions, of course, because sometimes people have half-time positions, 1,700. And I'm happy to announce that since last April, we haven't had an announcement of this, we just went ahead. We're not waiting. That we have a primary care network in this region, a primary care network that when it's built out fully over the next 4 years, we'll have 75 what are called FTEs, but really positions working for it, doctors and nurse practitioners and others. And so far, in its first year, already in Vernon, 18 and a half FTEs, 18 and a half positions, including a significant representation of doctors and nurse practitioners in particular, which makes this primary care network unique. What else makes primary care networks unique is that they come from the community. It's not the Ministry of Health in Victoria telling people in the communities represented by the primary care network here, in the North Okanagan Shuswap Primary Care Network, what to do. The proposals came from the primary care network, working with communities, came from Indigenous peoples living in the community, and then are agreed to and approved and funded at the ministry level. So they represent and they are implemented right here. And it is significant support for the community. In addition to everything else we're doing in primary care, our very successful agreement that we've developed with the doctors of BC. The annual funding, when this is fully built out in Vernon, will be $12.8 million a year, every year, built into the budget, not thrown away when another crisis comes, but fundamental to the care that we provide. And this will allow our teams of people providing primary care in the community, the teams that they need to support people in community. I'm very proud of this initiative. I'm very proud of the doctors and nurses and others who developed this proposal. And in the fourth year, 75 full-time equivalent FTEs. I just want to tell you who's part of this, who's added to our teams now. That will be 20 as we build out to the final stage positions for nurse practitioners, 11 for nurses, 9.2 mental health registered practice nurses, or RPNs, and many, of course, allied health workers, including respiratory therapists and physiotherapists and social workers and clinical pharmacists, people supporting us in community. This is the work we need to do. Decisions made in community, supported by a government focused on delivering care in communities. That's what we need to do. That's what primary care networks are all about. And this empowers communities and this community to do the work it does. And I just want to say finally, a final thank you to the people who've been involved in this project, because this is, again, a project developed in the community. I want to thank the Shuswap North Okanagan Division of Family Practice. Of course, our teams at Interior Health, the Shuswap North Okanagan PCN Collaborative Services Committee, the Silks First Nation, the Okanagan Indian Band, the Secwepemc First Nations, the Métis Nation BC, the Patient Voices Network, all part of the development of this network. What we're doing here at the hospital, what we're doing in the community, and what Harvinder will talk about in a second in terms of long-term care, are different elements of providing the care that British Columbians need in these very challenging times for our public healthcare system. And with that, I'm happy to hand the floor back to Harvinder.
Thank you, Minister Dix. All right. Thank you, Minister Dix. So I don't have to wait for podium for that long to go down when I speak after premiers. Yeah, it was quicker. Thank you. This is very exciting. And as I said, we had wonderful conversation with the team from Primary Care Network. And Minister will be happy, or will be happy to give you more answers what that means and how that's going to amplify more, like provide more services and attach more people to primary care network. So I can't agree with Minister more. When our healthcare providers adopt a team-based approach, we provide wholesome care, and in healthcare professions and in this work, and us as nurses, I know when we're trained, we were always trained to not to look at the whole, like the other dynamics of the health and social determinants of health. So primary care networks do exactly the same for better outcomes. So it's amazing, and patients can see and feel the high quality of care when they get by the team-based approach by the experts. And with more care provided, being trained, recruited, and retrained in health sector, more patients will have greater access to care, and they'll get diagnosed in a timely fashion. They'll get assessed and faster than ever before. And many of you know that I have personal journey of losing loved one because of the delayed diagnosis in early 2008. And it's devastating for families, and that's why we're here to look at all the pieces of puzzle that which areas will have better outcomes and will save more lives, and when people get the timely access to care. So primary care network will be one addition to that. So thank you so much, Minister and Premier Eby, for investing in healthcare in Vernon and, of course, North Okanagan Shuswap region. Having primary care network means a lot, and it's not just the announcement, as Minister mentioned, it's already happening. There are people working in it. So, there were people out there were not sure if it's just the announcement. No, the work is being done. We're here to tell you more about, and the addition of services, and more people will be hired to provide services to larger segment of population. So thank you again for being your support to North Okanagan Shuswap family doctors, the group, and Interior Health, of course. So it's a combined effort, and thanks for taking the collaborative approach. And this is not it. In the past 5 years, so now we go to third announcement, which I get to make. In the past 5 years, we've invested more than $2 billion to expand and improve the quality care for seniors in British Columbia. And if you want to do, that includes the investments in primary care, home health, assisted living, and long-term care. So through my experience as a registered nurse here in Vernon Jubilee Hospital and also working in community as community nurse, I know firsthand that there is a critical need for long-term care beds in the province and in our community. So when I mentioned that more than $2 billion already invested by our government since 2017, I want to give people a little bit contrast because the problems that we see now, it didn't happen overnight. There is, decade of underfunding, decade and a half. So to give you contrast, under the previous government, there were 17 million, not billion, 17 million over 10 years. That's how much it was spent. So as a nurse, of course, I sat down and calculated. That was delivering 2 beds a year in the entire province. And we, with our investments that we're making to create more long-term care beds and to support seniors, we've created, Minister, I know it was hundreds, more than 1,400, now number is increasing. So the reason I want to share that, to give you hope that the work is being done, not only to fill the previous gaps, but also to strengthen the systems in place. And we will get there. As Premier Eby always says, that I want results that people can feel, see, and touch. And it's really reassuring that as our commitment, people will feel that. So through my experience, as I mentioned, with the growing population, it is becoming very important. But there is more than just beds or rooms and facilities. So long-term care should be, and it is a second home for our seniors, where they experience community connection, comfort, and ensuring that they feel truly at home. So this investment will go beyond buildings. It's an investment for our people, for our seniors, as we create a place where well-being and happiness comes first. As Parliamentary Secretary for Senior Services and Long-Term Care, it is part of my mandate to keep seniors safer, healthier, and more comfortable. And I always say that seniors are a vital part of our population segment of our population, because seniors helped us not only build these countries or countries where they came from, they also helped us to build our lives. So it is our time to give back and make sure that we do what we need to do for them to make their years and these years easier and comfortable. So I'm thrilled to share the news about the completion of the expanded Creekside Landing Community Campus, which is anticipated to be open for residents on February 20th. Again, I just want to make it clear, not an announcement, it's the delivering results. We did the groundbreaking in 2021. I became MLA in 2020 and 2021, and now those 90 units are ready. So a bit of background about this long-term care expansion project. In July 2020, government announced that to meet the need for growing seniors here in our community, 495 long-term care beds would be added to the interior region, expanded the total number of publicly subsidized long-term care beds in the region by approximately 9%. All the new beds built are single bedrooms, and that is why I'm excited to see this expansion coming to fruition and cannot wait for seniors to see seniors move in there. And people from Vernon and surrounding areas will be benefit from this. So this 3-story expansion building, 96 new beds in the community, 90 beds publicly funded and 6 privately funded. It will increase the access to high quality long-term care now and for years to come. Here, seniors and their families will have safe, supportive place they can call home. This center has added benefit to facilities such as living rooms, dining rooms, and wellness center, where seniors are able to remain active and build relationships that directly and positively will impact their quality of life. And of course, for staff, it'll be great to deliver care in that great setting. And other amenities like a library, hair salon, exercise, wellness center, and many quiet rooms where families can spend time together. So there is also secure access to the great outdoor with walkways through the property, and it is located close to downtown Vernon and Okanagan Lake, so great location. In addition, seniors at this center are supported through dedicated campus of care. Which allows one partner to live independently. We've heard from many people that was really difficult for some couples. So the campus of care allows one partner to live independently in the sites while their significant other receive the services, sometimes often complex services or care they need. So it's keeping them together. Aging couples can stay near to each other, so which will be great. And I just want to say that I was reading some of on the social media site, somebody was looking for a place to go, and they were speaking very highly of the spaces, the Gateway, Norrick, and other places we have, and people have great experience. As since Minister Dex became minister, quality for senior long-term care, we were below the 25% national standard, and his work and his team's work, we are up to more than 85%, and our goal is to go to 100%. So we're doing the work, and seniors will get the care and the quality care they deserve. So I just want to tell that it also includes healthcare assistants, licensed practical nurses, dietitian, occupational therapists, physiotherapists, rehab assistants, and activity aides, and recreational therapists. So people often say that you're building beds, where will the staff come from? I want to remind people that our government also trained 7,000 care aides under HCAP program, which has been very successful. And I know many people who I encourage to go do this program, and they're very grateful, and healthcare system is grateful. So we're not only just building, we're also taking care of health human resource strategy, which is province now has. We didn't have it before. And in this great contracts that we've signed, also it focuses on training, retraining, recruitment, and retention. So I want to assure you that every aspect is being taken care of very carefully. So now I am pleased to invite Diane Shandruk from Interior Health, VP of Clinical Operations, to speak and share her thoughts with us. Diane.
Thank you, MLA Sandhu, for those very important announcements and kind words. It's wonderful to be here today on behalf of Interior Health and our CEO, Susan Brown, who regretfully was not able to attend. I would also like to thank our elder for the wonderful opening prayer that opened us in a good way, and would like to recognize the traditional unceded territory that we are standing on today, the Salix Nation, where we do have a privilege of working, learning, and living together. The variety of topics announced today highlights the diverse health needs of our North Okanagan residents. I would like to first acknowledge the hard work in planning by our healthcare teams to bring these system improvements into reality. Thank you. Our commitment to ensuring health and well-being for all goes beyond the establishment of individual healthcare components. It's not just about building new places. It's about making sure everyone gets the right care in the right place at the right time. As we move forward with a new inpatient psychiatric unit here at Vernon Jubilee Hospital, our staff, I know, are looking forward to working in a new facility, but more importantly, meeting our patient and family needs in a modern environment. By increasing the number of beds and integrating the crisis and hospital services team into the new unit, we will be able to provide more efficient and seamless care, a benefit for patients, families, and our staff. I'm very grateful to our funding partners that help make large projects like this successful. The regional hospital districts help fund capital projects and equipment, and we wouldn't be able to invest in these improvements to healthcare without their support. As well, I'm happy to see representatives from the Vernon Jubilee Hospital Foundation here today, as they play a very important role in supporting healthcare services in the community. Thank you to both the Regional Hospital District and the Vernon Jubilee Hospital foundations. Enhancing service delivery with key partners is essential for the health and well-being of people living in our community. It is an innovative way to deliver health services through primary care networks, to provide primary care and welcome residents in Vernon to access that care readily when they need it. Equally as important is to provide specialized services when people need it, such as mental health, and as well to serve our seniors in the community. So our goal is to serve across the continuum of the lifespan. The Shuswap North Okanagan Primary Care Network will make it easier to access care. This involves not just offering extended service hours during evenings and weekends, but also connecting residents who do have a family physician or nurse practitioner and those who currently do not have one. It will strengthen support for patients and providers by creating a networked, team-based approach to the provision of care. Healthcare providers support each other and are supported by each other so that they can help patients, again, receive that right level of care from the right provider when they need it. Today, we have heard the opening of the new beds in the Creekside Landing community. Interior Health is committed to supporting seniors with the services as their needs change. Opening more long-term care beds in the community also supports the hospital as we are able to move more seniors into those beds where they can receive the right appropriate level of care in a home-like setting. Today's announcements are good news for those accessing care, and it is also good news for our providers and our physicians and makes recruitment and retention of health professionals more possible, which we know is especially important. We would not be here today if it were not for the collaboration with our partners to move this forward. I'm very grateful to be joined here today by the Shuswap North Okanagan Division of Family Practice, the Okanagan Indian Band, and Splatsin First Nation, who have played an integral role in establishing the primary care network. We look forward to continuing to work with our partners to collaborate on addressing the healthcare needs of the residents of North Okanagan and Shuswap. There is a shared vision of accessing care where everyone is connected along their healthcare journey. And that starts with primary care and through our primary care network, accessing those specialized services such as mental health care, as well as providing that care for our seniors. It's not just a vision. It is actually what we're doing here today and gathering together to ensure health and well-being for all. Thank you for being part of this journey with us. Together, let's make the North Okanagan healthier and stronger. Limlet, thank you.
Thank you so much, Diane. As you highlighted, this wouldn't have been possible without the partnership with Interior Health and, of course, contributions from the foundation and OKIB and everybody. It's a teamwork. And it's really I'm honored to work together and so that's why the teamwork approach, now we're delivering results. So this, as Minister Dix always reminds people, that even long-term care announcements may not seem very exciting or as flashy as acute care beds. Everybody wants acute care beds. It does help acute care system because it helps with the flow, and then seniors, it helps them to get the care that they need and deserve, and then that also free up the bed in acute care or surgical bed or whichever bed is being occupied, so it's not doing justice to the senior in that bed. So it's great announcement, and it will help across the board in acute care. So we're grateful for the Interior Health team for their help and amazing work they're doing. I'm not just saying as your employee, I really mean it, that you've shown great progress in many fronts, and I'm very proud of the work you do. For residents' perspectives on today's announcement, our last speaker today is a nurse and patient care coordinator, and I'm proud to call her my colleague, Jillian Shaw. When I saw her name, I'm like, who knew when we worked together that one day I'll be at this capacity and we're doing this together? So it's an amazing feeling. So I'll invite Jillian to share a few words with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Today, I stand before you not just as a nurse, but as a compassionate advocate for these welcome changes to our current psychiatric unit and the promising future that the new unit at Vernon Jubilee Hospital holds for both patients and nursing staff. My hope is that this new psychiatric unit becomes a beacon of positive change for a future with more inpatient mental health beds, a nursing to patient ratio that ensures safety, privacy our patient deserves, and specialized units to keep our patients close to their communities and loved ones. I look forward to the additional resources being provided to our community, and above all, a stronger commitment to safety during every stage of planning and implementation. As a psychiatric nurse, I can't help but envision the positive impact this new unit will have on our daily work and the lives of those we care for. The prospect of a safer and more conducive environment will undoubtedly alleviate the stress on our staff, enabling us to provide even more attention and personalized care, while creating an environment where healing can truly flourish. This upcoming unit is not just a response to the immediate needs of our community, but a testament to a healthcare system that values the mental well-being of all. I'd like to add that it is very exciting to hear about those other announcements regarding improving access to healthcare in Vernon. This is great news for our community and for my fellow colleagues who work in the community and long-term care. In closing, I invite you to join me in envisioning a future where our patients can find solace and healing in a facility that prioritizes their well-being and where staff can provide care with the resources and safety they deserve. I look forward to this new era of mental health care at Vernon Jubilee Hospital that reflects the compassion and commitment of our healthcare community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jillian. I totally understand your perspective, and I also want to say the safety of people providing care is very important, and I'm proud to say that our government brought in on security a team in-house security, which you see many personnels which have been privatized previously, but then I remember being part of the campaign as the BC Nurses Union's lobby coordinator. Violence is not part of my job, and our government took action to address, so it is highly important. So as you're a local MLA, I'm deeply committed and working together to continue delivering. Our work is not done. Vernon is a great place to live, and it's people like you who make this community such a vibrant, beautiful place, and with your contributions. So special thanks to everyone who did put their efforts in. So in conclusion, I want to leave here with my commitment working together as your MLA, and not only I started this advocacy way before I became or knew I would be MLA. So this is something deeply embedded in me. Healthcare is something I live, breathe, and get briefed on. And that is why I see hope. I want to give you hope and tell you that that hard commitment, that commitment from the government is there. That's why I'm proud to share that my both daughters are also in healthcare as well. So here is to strong and better future of healthcare, stronger care and primary care in Vernon Jubilee. So thank you so much for making this announcement and this day very special. So now we will pass it on to Binder so she can take questions from the media. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to start with reporters in the room and then go to the phones. If you're on the phone, please unmute yourself when we call on you so we can hear you. So first up will be Brendan from the Vernon Morning Star.
Hi, this question can be for or Diane. We could ask. I just want to talk about current deficiencies with the current psych ward, given this new announcement. Some of those things were lines of sight, a lot of blind corners, and especially not having physicians nearby their psychiatric patients in order for prompt care. Will this new facility be looking at addressing any of those options or anything else?
Thanks. So, I think there was a time when people struggling with mental health issues were put in the basement or in a windowless room somewhere, and the facility here in the basement reflects some of that attitude towards mental health. We have a lot of legacy spaces in the healthcare system where people struggling with mental health crisis are relegated, and we know that's got to change. Today's announcement is about recognizing that when someone shows up at hospital in mental health crisis, they need to be treated with dignity, and they need to be supported by staff that are working in an environment that supports the staff's safety, that supports the staff's success in assisting that person in responding to mental health crisis that they're in. That's why this building is so important. Patients should not be afraid. People shouldn't be afraid to come forward with the mental health crisis that they're in, because they're going to be put in a place that makes them feel even less safe, whether that's for a short period of time or for a longer period of time. So the additional capacity as well recognizes the growth in the population here, as well as the growth in what we're seeing, not just here in British Columbia, but across the country in North America, the growth in people struggling with mental health right now. It will be a leading edge facility in so many ways. In terms of specifics, I'm not sure who would be best to pass it over to. The Minister of Health.
To the specific question as well, that's the reason we go through planning processes. And a key part of our planning process is not just obviously construction and design and all those issues, but the linkage of this unit to the rest of the hospital. We talked about the tunnel to allow for privacy, but also the units themselves are developed in consultation with registered psychiatric nurses, registered nurses, nurse practitioners, with doctors, with health sciences professionals. So those very issues that have been raised by that staff will be reflected in the new building. And this has been the case in recent places where we've added, for example, similar units. If you look at the transformation of the mental health space, say at Royal Inland, or the transformation that's coming in Williams Lake, you'll see something quite similar. So exactly those questions, safety for staff, but principally a more healing environment that the Premier's referred to.
Okay, we're going to go next to Brady, who's at CBC.
Premier Eby, in regards to Minister Selina Robinson's comments or strong opinions on Israel, there are calls for her to resign from the Federation of the Canadian Association of University Teachers, as well as the Federation of Post-Secondary Educators. Federal NDP MPs are also questioning her position over these strong comments. Do you accept her apology, and is that enough?
Well, I've spoken with Minister Robinson about her comments, and the thrust of my discussion with her was 2 points. One was that the comments are totally unacceptable. They were wrong. They shouldn't have been made. And she's got some work to do to go out to the community to address the harm that her comments have caused at a very and in particular in a very vulnerable community right now. It's incredibly raw, given the war in Gaza right now. The second component is just the overall message that I try to deliver to my colleagues and that I try to live up to myself. We are in positions of authority, responsibility, and power. And that brings with it an expectation on the part of all British Columbians that when we take on these roles, that we do not use them to belittle or dismiss anybody or any community, whether in our province or elsewhere. And I expressed my disappointment to her about not meeting that standard. She's got some work to do out in the community. She's committed to me that she is going to be doing that work that she's already started. She has apologized unequivocally, as she should, and she's got some more work to do.
And if you won't ask for her resignation or she doesn't step down, what sort of message does that send to people that feel that she crossed the line as a member of cabinet?
Well, I believe that the minister crossed the line as a member of cabinet. She made remarks that were wrong, that were hurtful for a community, that increased divisions among people in our province at a time when every member of my government is expected to bring people together. She understands that. She has committed to go out and do her best to repair the harm that she has caused. with those comments, and that is my expectation of her going forward.
Next, we have Victoria from Global News.
Hi, Premier David Eby. So a number of Okanagan mayors have co-signed a letter that was released today asking the province to continue to appeal the BC Supreme Court's injunction of suspending enforcement on Bill 34. Is there any update on that appeal? And do you have any response for people who are concerned about that injunction?
Yeah, thanks for the question. This bill that was brought forward and was passed in the House reflects two things. One is that our government is committed to the idea that people struggling with addiction are not criminals. They should not be locked up. They should not be dragged by police to a courthouse. It doesn't make anything better in terms of the challenge that they're facing. But simply because we as British Columbians have that compassionate understanding about people struggling with addiction doesn't mean that we have to give up our parks or the doorways of businesses or the bus stops where people are waiting for transit. There are expectations about behavior that apply to all British Columbians, including those struggling with addiction. And that's what this bill is about. It is our firm belief that as a province, we have the right to regulate the use of substances like tobacco, like alcohol, or hard drugs, to say not here. This is a place where kids play, not here. And so we will be appealing that decision. The Attorney General's team has made that decision. They filed the necessary documents to appeal. I agree with the mayors, and we'll be making our arguments in court on that.
Great. Next, we will go to Darren from Castanet.
Hi there. Given the employment challenges that the Interior Health and other regions are facing, what is the province's stance on still maintaining a exclusion of healthcare professionals due to their vaccine status?
So when we responded to the global pandemic, we made a commitment to British Columbians. This is something that should really be, our response should be directed by experts in the area, should be directed by the public health experts to ensure that we provided maximum protection to British Columbians. And the advice from public health experts, Dr. Bonnie Henry, leadership across the province, assisted us in a couple of things. One was minimizing the number of deaths compared to other jurisdictions, minimizing the overall economic impact on our province, which is a very significant and important thing, and ensuring in particular that vulnerable people were specifically protected, whether that was through early vaccines or additional measures. It's hard to think of a group more vulnerable than people attending healthcare facilities like hospitals. And the advice that we've received from public health is that the requirement for vaccination is necessary to ensure the safety of the people who are visiting hospitals. And we'll continue to follow that advice. I don't know if the health minister has anything to.
Just to say, people sometimes talk about it in the way that you asked your question. I know you're seeking such a response. BC led Canada last year in new registered nurses. Alberta, which is a jurisdiction that has a different approach to some of these issues, lost registered nurses. So we have a health human resources plan designed to add doctors and nurses and health sciences professionals. We're training more. We're bringing more people in through better pathways for internationally educated doctors and nurses. And people are coming from other provinces to British Columbia because of the way we run the healthcare system. When you support your doctors, as we've done Dr. Bonnie Henry, for example, you bring other doctors and nurses who believe that support is important when they're making clinical decisions. We're going to continue to do that.
Okay, next question, again, for the Premier. The wine industry is a huge economic driver in the Okanagan, and Alberta is currently restricting the sale of direct-to-consumer products. Premier, can you just comment on the province's stance on that and what they can do to help local wine producers?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I had the opportunity to visit some wine growers and who were particularly hard hit by the cold snap that we saw about a year ago. And my understanding is the recent Arctic outflows have only made the situation worse for a number of growers. It killed off the vines. I saw just row after row of decimated grapevines. And they expressed the impact of this because they're not just grape growers, of course, they also are manufacturers and producers of wine. So the impact is devastating. Really hard to understand why Alberta would choose this moment to go after BC wineries. I know my colleague, Minister Mike Farnworth, has reached out to his counterpart in Alberta to discuss this. He's our minister responsible for liquor, to underline the importance of the Alberta market for BC wine growers, to make sure that Alberta understands the impact of the decisions that they're making. They had a good conversation, and I hope we'll be able to reach resolution on this. In addition, our government is also committed to support the agriculture industry. It's not just the grape growers, also a number of orchardists that produce fruit from fruit trees and other perennials. These farmers are under huge pressure because of the impacts of climate change, everything from drought to the cold snaps to the intensely hot summers. And we're going to continue to find ways to support those farmers because they support us with the food they produce.
And next we'll go to Liam from Vernon Matters.
Hi there. Just some quick details about this psych ward. What's the timeline for this? How much is it costing? Who's footing the bill for it?
One, I got the three questions I'll answer really quickly. We've approved the concept plan for the new psychiatric ward, meaning that it's in the 10-year capital plan of the government. We're developing the business plan and will over the next year. I would expect that construction will be completed in 2028. These things take some time, but they're important and they'll be in place for decades after that. With respect to costs, that's determined in a finite amount at the business plan stage, but you're looking at a project in the $110 to $140 million range, but that will be determined during the business plan stage. And we tend not to, because we then go to bid, not to be too specific about those amounts for public interest to get the good bidding process. But that's the rough amount we're talking about for this project. So that's the timeline, and the costs are shared, and we get incredible support here from the regional hospital district. And I was talking to Councillor Carrie Garris about this, who's been a huge advocate for this project, and so we get huge support from them. So these projects are cost shared, and the community in Vernon has been unequivocal about this project. The community of healthcare professionals, healthcare workers, and the community itself, the necessity and the importance of this project, and that's why it has such high priority for us.
Yes, this might be for the hospital as well as for the health minister. It's been a few months since the last walk-in clinic closed here in Vernon. What kind of strain does that put on the hospital, and is anything being done to address those extra pressures?
Well, just in the province today, there's 10,177 people in hospital today, which is recently we increased the number of acute care beds in our hospital in our hospitals across BC from 9,200 to 9,929. So what we're seeing now is unprecedented utilization of our healthcare system. In the last 3 years, we've added 500,000 people in BC, MSP, people on MSP, 500,000 more, the highest rate of growth the province has ever seen in the public healthcare era. These are very significant increases on demand, and you see that reflected here every day. We do more surgeries here. Interior Health is setting records for the number of surgeries it does. More diagnostic exams, more emergency room visits. But we have huge challenges for our doctors and nurses and others. It's why we added additional hours, for example, the Urgent and Primary Care Center, because of what's happening at walk-in clinics. And we've provided significant support to walk-in clinics around the province, including here in Vernon. So what we have to do, though, I think, and what we're doing, is investing in primary care and community. These were extraordinary investments around a primary care network that respond specifically to the community because they've been directed, designed by the community, and respond to their needs. An additional 75 FTEs over the next 4 years. That means 75 full-time staff positions that will be shared by more than 75 people, doctors and nurse practitioners. That's the way to respond with the community. And in addition, we have to do more work on episodic care. It may well be that another urgent and primary care center will be required in Vernon, and we're working on that as well. So all of that we're doing in response because this is a fundamental issue. We didn't have, when I became Minister of Health, primary care networks because people announced them and didn't deliver them. Well, we're delivering here already more than 17 full-time staff people, the majority of whom are nurse practitioners or doctors, have been hired in the primary care network. We expect that to grow, and that's a powerful response to what we need to do here in Vernon, to real challenges people have facing care. And look, it's tough. Like this, when we talk, it rolls off the tongue. We set a record in terms of number of people at this hospital and who are in acute care hospitals. That means people who are sick enough to be admitted to hospital. That's not just emergency room visits. Our staff here has done exceptional, remarkable work. The numbers aren't just the sole consideration, though. We're also seeing increasing level of acuity of patients. In other words, people are sicker when they come. It's not just a question of more. The actual number of acute care of emergency room visits dropped slightly in the period, but that's not what happened. That's not its impact on the emergency room. The impact on the emergency room is more work, more demand, more challenges, because we've seen significantly increased acuity.
Next, we will go to the phone lines. Katie DeRosa, Vancouver Sun.
Hi, Minister Dix. I'm wondering if there's an update on the improved wait list as a response to the physician registries and family nurses registries, and also why are physician assistants not able to work in clinics but only emergency rooms?
Well, the second question is about physician's assistants. So for the first time ever in BC, we are bringing physician's assistants into the system. We don't train physician's assistants in BC. There aren't a large overall number. And we feel, given the extraordinary situation facing emergency rooms everywhere in BC, that we would focus that resource in the first period on emergency rooms. And that's why we're doing it that way. We're not going to divide the resource everywhere. We need supports in emergency rooms now, and that's what we're doing. There's increased demand everywhere. And just as we were talking about, the numbers vary day to day, but the absolute numbers in emergency rooms everywhere is up year over year, every year. And that's why adding physicians' assistants to support that, and associate physicians, and expanding the scope of practice of healthcare professionals is a good idea. We'll be reporting on the Health Connect registry soon. As you know, we have almost 700 more people in the last calendar year who are practicing longitudinal family practice in BC, meaning they're family doctors taking patients in community. We've added more than 100 nurse practitioners in that time, and both of those things are significant changes and improvements. But we also have a very significant number of people needing care, and a very large increase in our population that's reflected in our emergency rooms, on our wards and hospitals, in community, and in primary care.
Katie, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, Premier, for you, why are you standing behind Minister Robinson? I mean, you said the comments are wrong and that she's caused harm, but why do you want her to continue to be a member of cabinet? And also, what kind of work do you think needs to be done, as you said, to repair the harm?
Minister Robinson's comments are really hurtful, and in particular to a community that's watching what's happening in Gaza and is heartbroken and feels unheard. And this is the last thing that they needed for someone in a position of responsibility, power, and authority to be dismissive of to be belittling of that community, whether here in British Columbia or internationally. And so Minister Robinson needs to be and is in the process of reaching out to leaders in that community, apologizing to them directly, making sure that she is doing everything she can to repair the damage and the division that she caused with those remarks. That is my expectation of her, and that is what she has assured me she will be doing.
Next up, we have Wolf Deppner from Black Press.
Yes, excuse me. Hello, thank you for taking my question. Back to the issue of Minister Robinson. Premier, did Minister Robinson offer her resignation to you the last 24 hours?
During our conversation, Minister Robinson confirmed her understanding that her comments were wrong. She offered her apology to me, to all of her colleagues in cabinet and in caucus, and assured me she would be apologizing unreservedly to British Columbians, and in particular the individuals and the communities that were hurt by her use of her position and her authority to essentially, in my opinion, increase division in our province. And so my expectation of her is that she will be doing the work. We discussed what she would be doing, going out to British Columbians, to community leadership, to communities, to express her unreserved apology and to seek to repair some of that damage.
Do you have a follow-up?
Yes, thank you. Did you ever consider firing her? Thank you.
My expectations of every member of our government, whether a caucus member or a cabinet member or myself, is that we are always using our positions to make our province better, to build people up, to bring people together, to address the big challenges that we face in the province. Selina did not meet that standard. And she is going to go out and has committed to me that she will do the work to try to repair the damage that her remarks have caused, and I expect her to do that.
Next up is Cole Schisler from News 1130.
Thanks so much for taking my question. Both of these will be for the Premier as well. Plenty of folks have pointed out that Selina Robinson's comments about Palestine reflect the same terra nullius thinking that justified the colonization of Canada. She also made comments comparing the Israel-Hamas war to a hypothetical land dispute between Squamish and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations, saying that, quote, regular people would not get involved. Given those comments, do you have confidence in Minister Robinson's ability to oversee plans to implement truth and reconciliation calls to action in higher education facilities?
Well, the comments by Minister Robinson were completely unacceptable on a number of different levels and to a number of different communities and people in our province, and I suspect internationally. And so her apology, her unreserved apology, is absolutely right. Her comments increase division in our province. They increase the feelings of alienation of groups of people, especially people of Palestinian descent and people who are concerned about the death and the destruction in Palestine that is happening right now. These are folks who are feeling very vulnerable and who are feeling unheard, and in some cases are feeling that they are unable to express their true views about what's happening there without facing retaliation or consequence. And it is critically important for Minister Robinson in her position to understand that vulnerability, to understand the power and authority of her position. And that was my key message to her. She assured me she understood that she would be apologizing unreservedly, that she would be doing all she could to repair the damage with affected communities, and that is my expectation of her in order that she is able to do the work that our government needs to do of building up our province, bringing people together, and that's everything from reconciliation to her work at post-secondary institutions and so much more that we expect all of our colleagues to do in government.
Cole, follow-up?
Yeah, given her recent comments and months of social media activity promoting similar views, do you believe that Minister Robinson can uphold freedom of expression and academic freedoms on campuses? And do you think that her behavior warrants an investigation into whether her views have influenced her decision-making?
I have heard people suggest that Minister Robinson fired an individual, was involved in the firing of an individual from a post-secondary school who expressed pro-Hamas views. That is not correct. The administration of the school made the decision to terminate that individual. I have some expectations, though, of Selina in light of the comments that she made and the harm that was caused, which is that she do the work necessary to try to repair the hurt that was caused by reaching out to community leaders of affected communities to do all she can to try to gain back the trust that British Columbians put in us when we take on these roles of significant responsibility.
We have time for one last question. We'll go to Richard Zussman, Global News.
Hey, Premier, thank you so much for doing it. Night of Thursday morning shoot of a prominent Sikh activist, members of the community expressing worries about their safety. What assurance can you give them about these concerns being taken seriously? And do you believe the scope of the federal inquiry into foreign interference should be expanded to include India?
Thanks, Richard. There are so many people that are on edge in the Sikh community in British Columbia following the shocking allegations that have been brought forward that the government of India may have been involved in the assassination of a Sikh activist right here in British Columbia and Surrey. And obviously this recent shooting has only heightened the anxiety that the community feels. The RCMP have been working closely with the community. Their investigation is ongoing into not just the original murder, but also this shooting. I have confidence that the RCMP has the resources and the capacity they need to be able to do this investigation and ensure those responsible are brought to justice. I've raised this issue with federal counterparts about the importance of this investigation to British Columbians and our concern about our relationship with India and the possibility that the government of India was involved. They understand our concerns here in the province, and I've pledged, of course, our support if they want to use the foreign interference inquiry to look at issues related to interference by India in the Sikh diaspora in British Columbia. If there's anything that we can do to support their work to investigate and stop any foreign interference, and it's not just that community, it's also the Persian community with the potential influence of the Iranian government in British Columbia or other activists from around the world who live in British Columbia as their home, where their original countries may be seeking to silence their voices. British Columbia is on their side, and we will do everything we can to make sure their voices are heard.
Richard, do you have a follow-up? Richard, we can't hear you. Richard?
Let me try this. Premier, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah, now I can.
Yeah, my apologies. And a two-part question for you here. My apologies on that as well. Can you comment on the fact that an RV encampment was evicted from Chilliwack yesterday, First Nations land? There are continued efforts made to stop people camping in Oppenheimer and Vancouver, and now there's a encampment on Transport Ministry land. Does this reflect the government's stance about not wanting people to live outside? And also, I'm hoping you can comment on a prosecutor being assaulted outside 222 Main this morning.
Thanks, Richard. There is a very significant housing crisis in our province. There are a lot of people who may not be homeless themselves, but may be at significant risk of losing their homes. We have brought to bear historic resources to build out the homes that we need across the province. And in addition, to address some of the predatory behaviors that we've seen that are leading to evictions and to increased homelessness. We have, like so many places across Canada, seen growth in homelessness. I was in St. John's, Newfoundland, and saw an encampment right across from the legislature building, unprecedented in that province. And so all of us working together here in British Columbia to address this issue includes opening spaces to get people inside so they don't have to sleep outside. I believe, and this is supported by court decisions in British Columbia, that just moving people around is not the answer. If someone is outside and they have nowhere else to go, then it is inappropriate to just be moving people over and over and over again. However, encampments are not safe. They're not a safe place to live. People die in fires. in the encampments along Hastings. 100% of the women surveyed in that encampment reported being assaulted in the encampment. They are not safe places to live. So when there is a safe place for people to go, when we have put money into space to get people inside where there's privacy, where there's food, where there's supports, and we can get them into permanent housing, that's where they need to be. And so we're going to continue to do this work. It's profoundly challenging work for everybody, but especially for the person struggling with homelessness. And as we know, many individuals outside are also struggling with mental health and addiction issues, which is why announcements like the one we're making today are so important, because the sooner we intervene and support people struggling with mental health, the less likely they are to end up in the streets.
And the prosecutor.
Oh, thanks. Yes. And I was profoundly disturbed to hear that one of our Crown prosecutors was assaulted in Vancouver today. I have been told that she is receiving medical care, and the safety of the participants in our justice system, and I don't care if you're a Crown counsel or a defense lawyer or a judge or a sheriff or a clerk, our justice system to work needs to ensure that the people who run it are safe, just like our hospitals, just like our bus drivers, the people who do the hard work for the public of making sure that key institutions run need to be safe at work. I am reaching out to our Attorney General. I know that she and her team will be looking at what we can do to increase safety. We also had a report not too long ago about a gun being brought into a courtroom and concerns raised by defense counsel that they were the target, perhaps, of potential violence in that regard. We need to make sure that everybody is safe in the justice system, and I'll work with the Attorney General to make sure that's the case.
Thank you very much, and that's all the time that we have for today.
Thank you. Great.